There's also a very fine threshold at which self-love or self-care begins to transform into self-obsession or selfishness. And this is something to be given a thought to. So where is it? What happens? Where is it that this transition happens? And what is the distinction between self-love, self-affection, and selfishness? Now, because what begins to happen when one is too obsessed about oneself, or one's own well-being, one's own care, one's own priorities, one's own self-expression, that one begins to happen is that the spotlight shifts towards what am I getting. In every relationship, it's about, am I taken care of? What about me? And now that's a sure-shot method of being in agony. So I'm not getting enough. I'm not being cared for enough. I'm not being loved enough. My boss doesn't listen to me properly, doesn't appreciate me, or my wife doesn't value me enough, or is not listening to me properly, etc., etc. As soon as that spotlight shifts this way completely or far too much, then we begin to go in that direction. The subtle line, the sudden distinction to be made is about what does it mean to love oneself, which is about not being in the space of comparisons, assessments, and hyper judgment and self-criticism. It's about foregoing or dropping that. It's not about making one the highest priority among all priorities that exist, because once that begins to happen, then we will begin to see what are the small things that are the reasons for my being unhappy. So the distinction to be made is about dropping comparisons. It's about dropping criticism, self-criticism. It's about dropping self-neglect or self-harm. It's about letting that go. It's about letting in some self-affection also. But at the same time, this self, which is receiving your affection, is not very different from others. So you begin to sense a certain kind of oneness. So the more self-affection, self-tolerance, self-acceptance you feel, also translates simultaneously into less criticism of others, less judgment for others. And that's the kind of self-love which is rewarding, not the self-obsession, which is about, okay, what about me?